Lord help us, just listen to this.
When I was an extremist, Islamist, fundamentalist, I would only vote left.
Why is that?
I saw them as very stupid. I would fear the conservatives because they come with principle. That's not someone they can brainwash. But the left, I know they have no values and no principles to begin with. I dare you to find one Islamic extremist that votes for Donald Trump. Never do it. They'd give their vote to the leftist who wants to run around in pride parades. And Islamic extremists are against gays and homosexuals and transgenders, but they want the left to go and get busy with that. And Omar, she's fighting for abortion rights. My body, my choice. Yes, go do that, go do it. But would she have an abortion? Never. Would she kill a Muslim in her stomach? Never.
What is the fundamentalist and jihadi agenda for America?
The future of America has to be Muslim.
Google is under a lot of fire recently. As John flicked at the top of the show, they just lost a major antitrust case over search engine optimization. But also, Congress is opening a probe into them for possibly misleading Americans on the Trump assassination attempt via search results. And now it's been discovered that the Kamala Harris campaign has been changing headlines from news outlets to make them seem even more favorable than they already are. I know that seems impossible, and they're using Google advertisements to do it. With us to talk about all of this, the executive director of Foundation for Freedom Online and former State Department official Mike Benz. Mike, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks. It's amazing. We have a sort of fake news tiramisu where there are sort of levels to it. You have the fake news, printing fake news, and then you have this sort of fake campaign taking the fake news and making fake headlines out of it. It's kind of amazing how many layers to corruption can occur when you put both Kamala Harris and Google, together in a room. But essentially, this is obviously a huge week for Google and the cracking of the nut in terms of their abuse of monopoly power. But I would say that is a double-edged sword, maybe for reasons we can get into.
The cover of Time magazine the other day, and they had to admit that they hadn't had an interview with her. Not only did a cover story on her, fawning all over her, without ever having spoken to her. They have no idea what her policies are because she refuses to comment on them. Her website has a bio page and a donation page. There's nothing of substance there. I mean, that they treat her with kid gloves is an insult to kid gloves. Did an interview, her top spokesman, Michael Tyler, today on CNN with a Jim Acosta, frankly, that I don't recognize. I'm going to have to call him Jimmy Acosta because it was like a little baby Jim Acosta. And he said, could you promise to have a press conference by the end of the month? And he said, we'll do at least one interview by the end of the month. That's it. And they don't care. I caught yesterday, the Harris campaign manipulating Google searches and changing the headline and the contents of media stories here in the U.S., the epitome of fake news and disinformation. And no one in the media actually cared about it. I mean, they were literally taking stories from CNN, the Associated Press, Reuters, CBS News, changing the story and putting it out under those banners.
Spokesman will give interviews, but the candidate herself will not. And Americans have got to vote for this person to be their president for 4 years.
A fourth suspected Palestinian terrorist was just stopped at the border in less than a month. He was arrested Monday in New Mexico, and it comes just weeks after 3 other suspected terrorists were caught crossing near San Diego. Florida Attorney General Ashley Moody is demanding answers from the Homeland Security after reports show the Biden-Harris administration released nearly 100 people who were on the terror watch list into the United States. The report found that, quote, more than 250 illegal aliens on the terror watch list were encountered by Border Patrol at the southwest border between fiscal years 2021 and 2023. DHS has released into American communities at least 99, with at least 34 others in DHS custody, but not yet removed from the United States.
Finally, have an admission from them. They have released, after coming in contact with these people, 199, almost 100, could be more now because this was through 2023, to roam our interior. Yeah. And here is the most frustrating part as an attorney general in a state where we know suspected terrorists have been before when tragedies have happened in this country. They are not communicating. When they realize they've released these almost 100 terrorists to roam our communities, they are not telling law enforcement in the states that they have done so. There is no communication. I've confirmed that with our law enforcement.
I know who I am. Mm-hmm. I was raised to have pride. I mean, I could go on and on about who I am, right? But and who I was born as, not just who I became. It wasn't like some process of enlightenment. Like this has not been a process of discovery for me. You know, in fact, I think the frustration is that other people want me to take them through their process of discovery. Exactly. About trying to understand it. Right. And it's a challenge. I mean, but this is look, all of us who have become the first, you know, part of the challenge is that people have their boxes about who people are. It's in their mind. They have this set of boxes, and they're trying to figure out which one do you fit into. Right? But the number of boxes they have is limited to whatever they've seen before, usually. Right? And we're asking them to see something that they've not seen before and then figure out where to put that. I might give you an example because I have thought about this. If I use this phrase, just close your eyes for a moment and then think about what you see. The boy next door. For most of America, what does that look like?
Be a close election, whoever the Democrats chose to put up against President Trump. But the more the American people learn about Kamala Harris, the less they're going to like her. If you think that your family has struggled under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for the last 4 years, the worst is yet to come if Kamala Harris gets elected president.
Well, the polls seem that people have an open mind about her. They seem buoyed by the idea that she's on the ticket now.
Once she has to face the American people, answer questions through the media, just like any other presidential candidate would. You know, if you earn the nomination like Donald Trump did in 2016 or Barack Obama did in 2008, you have to do town halls and debates and interviews. She had it gifted to her, and she thinks she can hide out for 100 more days before the election.
So for me in law enforcement to see my face and image along with my law enforcement counterparts being represented as standing alongside Kamala Harris was truly disheartening. We do not support Kamala Harris. She has a history of not supporting law enforcement. She's not supportive of a secure and strong border. It's evident when we have untold amounts of fentanyl, cartels right here in my county that we have worked to dismantle, along with human trafficking that takes place up and down the state of California, right across the border. When she was the Attorney General, that could have been secured. It wasn't. Her as Vice President could have made moves to secure that. It wasn't.
During the Trump interview on X, take a listen.
Apologies for the late start. We unfortunately had a massive distributed denial of service attack against our servers, and saturated all of our data lines. Like basically hundreds of gigabits of data were saturated. We think we've overcome most of that, and so it's now time to proceed. But as this massive attack illustrates, there's a lot of opposition to people just hearing what President Trump has to say.
Unfortunately, that interview, which they will post in full, was only open to a limited number of people as a result of that attack. We're going to have more highlights coming up. This on the heels of what many now believe was an Iranian attack that took out President Trump's and was hacked into President Trump's website himself. And President Trump's website was put together by some of the smartest, brightest cybersecurity experts in the entire world. That should be chilling and scary to everybody, both attacks. How did the Harris campaign respond? They mocked the cyber attack. Kamala, there's nothing funny about a DDoS attack or an outside country like Iran, Russia, China hacking President Trump's website. Nothing at all. Matter of fact, it shows a vulnerability that may run far deeper than anybody knows. Meanwhile, tensions are high all across the Middle East again tonight. Sources are telling our own Trey Yanks that Israel fears a strike from Iran could come at any moment. The Wall Street Journal tonight reporting that Israel has put the IDF on high alert. Now, today, the Pentagon announced a new deployment of American resources to the region. Here with reaction, IDF Special Ops veteran Aaron Cohn. Before we get into the Iranian threat with Israel, it looks like the number one prime suspect in the Trump website attack is Iran. You heard Elon Musk. You know what a DDoS attack is. I don't think anybody really fully recognizes the danger, the existential threat that is a cyber attack like this. Israel has to deal with this every day. When you hear that's happening in this country, I'm sure sirens are blaring in your head. Am I wrong?
No, Sean, you're absolutely right once again. And the fact is that the cultural warfare campaign, which is what I'm calling the radical left's deployment over the last 3.5 years within this country to implode it, has single-handedly emboldened the Iranian Islamic regime to switch gears and do what the Islamic regime does, which is guerrilla warfare. They're not going to go head-to-head with the United States. But what they're going to do is they're going to switch tactics. They're going to move into this cyber warfare, which we're seeing play out now. This will be the second time. I don't believe in coincidences. And that cyber warfare is designed to dismantle the U.S.'s technical capabilities, specifically for the purpose of disrupting this campaign, which is very dangerous in my mind, coming from that counter-terror world. But the fact is, and here's where I'm at with this, the naive appeasement only boldens Iran. And the U.S. is not deterring Iran. Iran is laughing at the Biden-Harris administration. But I'll tell you who they're scared of. They're scared of Israel, because they know that we can wreak such damage to the Iranian capabilities in such a short period of time that they are pausing right now to decide how far they want to go, Sean.
If they attack again on their own, you can pretty much, you can't count on Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. They already surrendered in the war on terror. She wants to, have the courage not to ever say Islamic radical terrorism again, which is bizarre, or illegal alien. So, but Israel might be fighting a 3 or 4 front war. You might be fighting Hezbollah in the north, Hamas in the south, the Houthi rebels, and Iran at the same time. And then if you want to defend yourself and fight back, Harris and Biden will have nothing to do with that. What does that say to you about the U.S. and your relationship with the U.S.? Because it's embarrassing to me.
Well,
Dangerous
Sean,
too.
you're absolutely that's right. It is dangerous, and you nailed it on the head again. You seem to be the only person who understands this language of the Middle East, השפה של המזרח התיכון, which is the only thing that this region understands is that strength through. I'll tell you who they're scared of, Sean. They're scared of Donald Trump, because they know that Donald Trump is going to back Israel, give us the weapons and supplies we need, but Bibi will not wait. And Israel will preemptively strike, and it's a disappointment. As an American Israeli, there's a slight fear of abandonment here, but we're going to get the job done, and Israel is going to go all the way as needed to protect. Because you saw what happened on October 7th, Sean. We don't have the luxury to not be good, so we're taking